Hey heroes, it's T. Jumping in really quickly before we get started to give a couple quick reminders. In case you have forgotten, or in case you never knew, we have a second whole podcast feed where you can listen to more Moon Harbor material. You can find that by searching Moon Harbor Extended wherever you listen to podcasts. We have 2 lines that have been running for a couple months now, and a third line that actually just started last week. It is a spin-off of the Faye and Supai Hellspawn line from Faces, and it is some of the funniest role-playing, and also, I have a feeling we'll get pretty intense by the end of the arc, because we are who we are. Go ahead and jump over and listen to that. You can listen to T, that's me, Icy, and Amar Amaraz, our new player, being GM'd by Elliot. It is a truly delightful time, and we are so excited that we can share it with you all. I don't think of anything else, so without further ado, please enjoy this issue of Moon Harbor Heroes.
Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Faces, issue 34, Picking Up the Pieces. On the cover, Ryder, Asimov, and Lighthammer stand with their backs together in the middle of the cover. Ryder's holding his sword, Asimov his flaming sword, and Lighthammer his hammer. Surrounding them, as far as the eye can see, are humanoid robots with glowing eyes advancing menacingly. We turn the page and our story begins. So when this issue opens, we're coming up on about 2 months since Carl's funeral, and we're going to open up with a Brian love letter.
Uh-oh.
Do you want to read through that?
So apparently, in the last few weeks, Dijkstra has been sending out gangs of robots to commit heists all over the city. I've foiled some, but can tell Dijkstra is up to something big. Wants me to roll plus superior. On a hit, choose 1. On a 10 plus, choose 2. You've started to piece together an idea of what Dijkstra is trying to build. You've tracked down where Dijkstra is making its Robogoons, or you've discovered a major weakness in the Robogoons. Okay, I rolled a 9. I get to choose 1. I want to know where it's making its Robogoons.
Okay, awesome. Where did you find out it was making it? What part of town?
I found that it was... Okay, now that's a question like... I'd like you to set the scene for the rest of the issue. I don't know.
Does anyone have any ideas? If not, I can throw something out.
It's too much responsibility.
What about in the subway tunnels under the city? In an abandoned subway tunnel?
I'm super into that.
Maybe we'll run into some friends. Well, they're not friends yet.
We have friends?
No, we don't.
So we get our panel of Ryder, and it's a close-up on Ryder as he's throwing a punch. Ryder, you still same costume?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. While you're swinging this punch, I am going to have you do your love letter. So let's start with the first part.
I'll read it. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. These last weeks without Faye and Carl have been a heavy time for Felix. As the last original member, I've had to take stock of who I am and who I want to be. So the move is wanting me to explain what Felix has been up to in the last couple months. Of course, he's been continuing his investigation on the Dark Rider and what the Dark Rider's been doing. He has attempted to go on a few dates with Lighthammer a few times. Only one of them has not been interrupted by something else going wrong in the background, and them having to quote unquote suit up and deal with the problems. Yeah, he's continued his training. So I guess you'd also have the panel layout would be you'd see like a panel of him, in the lab or in his sanctuary typing away in the computer, and you see a bunch of little panels on the screen of Dark Rider and various events happening that may have happened around the city where he's, trying to connect the dots in a way. One of the panels will be of a date night with Fee and Light in their nice suits. Nice suits? I don't know if Fee owns a nice suit. Out and enjoying themselves. And then another panel of one of those same kind of meals. Maybe not the same location, but another one of those meals being interrupted by a la the car scene from Spider-Man 2, where the car doesn't get or car gets thrown through the window, kind of one of those type deals. And then the final scene, you'd see he's training at the gym, and that would be his thing, where he's training at the gym. I almost called it a push-up bar. What is it called? It's not that. It's
Pull up
weights.
bar.
No, not that. The weights where you push. You know what? Fuck it. I don't know what they're called.
Pumping iron.
Yeah, sure. He's
Like
pumping iron, punching a
Bench
bag.
pressing?
That's the one.
And then I think we get the panel of your fist connecting with this Robo Goon, which are like very economy built robots. They're humanoid, about like 6 feet tall, and have a like very round face with just 2 like eye sensors. And cool. Let's do the next part of that move. Now I want you to shift your labels up to 2 times.
Anytime you shift one up, one down, right?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to shift Superior down. Actually, I think he would shift Superior down twice to 1 and bring his mundane up to 2, because he's been trying overtime to be normal, quote unquote. I realize that the next role is Superior, which is hilarious, but anyways.
I admire your commitment. Cool. And now roll plus Superior.
All right, let's do a roll. That is an 8. That's a hit. And I pick 1, and the 3 options are: did my recon. Each member of my team takes +1 forward. Team is well old and motivated. Start with the team pool at 3, and team has been bonding well. Clear up the 3 conditions across the team. Before I do that, clear conditions across the team. Does anyone have conditions?
I have guilty.
Nope.
No. Actually, I think I'm going to do the bonding well, and I think that'll remove Light's guilty and my angry.
Cool. And then on a 7 to 9, pick one from the second list as well.
Okay, so I got an 8. So the second list is the enemy has us pinned down, or the enemy has us separated. I think the enemy will have us pinned down. I think that's going to be the situation.
Okay, cool. And from that panel of your fist just connecting with this robot, and I think the head goes just flying backwards, we get a pulled out shot, and behind you, we see Asimov and Lighthammer. Do you want to just it's been a bit, so do we want to just get a quick description of each costume again? It's been a while since we've had a nice visual on the Faces team, in case there's any changes.
I'll start with that, though. Felix is wearing his blue and gold costume, his blue and gold common style suit. It's a long jacket with a bug chitin style armor over the chest, a chitin style armor over the gloves and the boots, and he's wearing a bug-eyed helmet that has a knight style mask over the front and has I want to call them spoilers off the sides, but they're like ear type things off the sides of them. And he's also got his sword at his side. I actually think now he wears the sword on his back. I think at this point he wears the sword on his back.
I dig it.
The thingy. And before I pass the torch onto Asimov or Lighthammer, I think he's going to say something to the effect of, "Damn, when did the Foot Clan end up in freaking Moon Harbor?"
And in this pulled back shot, that kind of feels appropriate. We see the 3 of you in a subway tunnel. There's a sea of these robots coming from forward where Ryder's holding them off. And there's a smaller grouping in the back that have circled around.
So Lighthammer is wearing his traditional costume. He only has the one. Though we have recently seen him out of costume. We've seen him in both sweatpants and a t-shirt and a polo and slacks. He is back in his costume now. His costume is silver, gold, and teal. So he's got gold and teal capulets on his shoulders. His top is a gold and silver top, spandex top, with a super deep V to show off his incredible physique. He has the Lighthammer gauntlets on, which are gold and teal gauntlets. His legs are slightly armored to make him be able to go a little bit faster. They're mechanized ever so slightly. He wears a gold and teal helmet with a with the capability to live stream, and he wears a very dramatic silver cape with gold trim. Really astute readers will notice that sometime in the past, I'd say 6 or 7 Lighthammer issues, we've gradually phased from what was Lighthammer gold to what is Rider gold. So Rider and Lighthammer's gold matches each other.
It's totally not to save cost on ink.
It's
No, it's
totally
'cause-
save cost in ink.
It's because they look cute as a couple. Stop stealing my thunder, editors.
And what do we see Lighthammer doing in this panel?
Lighthammer's been really working on Sound Blast without the hammer recently. So we see me, I throw my hand out and kind of force style, like send a blast of gold with sound waves to knock a couple of the robots that are advancing forward off.
Awesome. And our next panel shows Brian. What do you look like and what are you doing at the moment?
Brian still doesn't really have a full costume per se. He has a cape, with his signature logo on it, and he wears a mask that is basically a rider mask with certain pieces cut off. There's one difference now. There's lenses where the eyes are so that he doesn't have to wear his glasses. I guess he figured that dramatically taking off your glasses to don a superhero outfit was something worth doing.
That's a good look. I love it. And what do we see Asimov doing in this panel?
You see him pointing out, shouting, and giving commands to the rest of the party.
Sweet. What are you yelling?
Focus on that one!
How about this? To give you guys some meta information, things that you figured out.
Is there only one?
There's a fair bit of them, and behind the big wave of the ones coming at you, like the highest density of them, somewhere back there is a machine that is just spitting them out automatically. It's like an auto factory that Dijkstra has set up.
And then I'm pointing at the machine.
Do we want to enter battle against a dangerous foe here?
Seems as good a time as any.
Yeah, sure.
Is Brian the leader?
I'm calling you. Yeah,
I think Brian's the leader.
Fantastic. Cool. Where's my sheet?
Darn, that means I can't contradict myself to get a +1.
I mean, if you try really hard. Does the leader have influence over every teammate?
You have it over me.
Yes.
Brian, what's your purpose in the fight?
To take down that machine.
Felix?
My purpose in the fight is also to take down the machine.
And Lighthammer.
Same.
All right. Does anyone mistrust the leader or the team?
I mistrust him completely. I mean, completely. Have you seen the guy? I mean, look at him. Kidding.
It's total
No,
rider knockoff.
No, I trust him.
I trust him.
All right. Brian?
I trust him.
And I don't think you're ill prepared or off balance. So we're going into this with a 5-team.
Dang.
Brian just yelled out an order. Who's doing what?
I'll get there in a sec. Just gotta, fight these ones off. And I want to do something that I haven't tried before. I want to take my hands and put them on the ground. And I want to do that subtle sound wave thing. Very similar to what we saw OG Lighthammer telling me to do in the last issue. And I want to send subtle sound waves to try to get into the mechanism, the mechanics of these robots, and shut a big group of them down by vibrating cords out of place and vibrating wires and stuff.
Yeah. You can absolutely try that. You're going to be unleashing your powers. You are underground, so there could be very severe consequences if it goes wrong. Just want to let you know.
I love getting crushed by ceilings.
That's why I wanted to go with subtle sound waves, not really, really massive sound waves.
We're underground. There's no subtle. Yeah, no pressure. We'll all die. It's fine. We're good.
Don't worry. No one's going to die.
It's good.
I'm just letting you know that sending sound waves through the ground could still have pretty big effect. Okay? That's an 11.
That's an 11.
Tell me what that looks like. You can take out kind of all the ones that are behind you all.
I get down in the 3-point stance, 3-point hero stance, and then we see a close-up on my face, and I close my eyes, and I put my hands on the ground, we see that panel, and then the next time we see that panel, it's replicated, but everything is just sound waves. Everything is outlined in that gold lettering, much like we saw me do with the echolocation. And then
Can I interrupt you there? I want to inject
Yeah.
some flashback panels and then finish that off because I have a love letter for you as well.
Sweet, go ahead.
Cool. So from there, we're going to get some flashback panels of Lighthammer for the last few weeks. So here's your love letter.
Lighthammer, you've been spending some time getting to know OG Lighthammer, and honestly had some good conversations. Roll plus mundane. LOLOL, this is gonna be precious. That's a 6. So on a hit, things would have been going smoothly. Detail one way OG Lighthammer has been helping you. On a miss, give us a few panels of a moment of contention between you two. I think we see like a training scene. In my apartment, I have a massive like training room, and OG Lighthammer is there like helping me with some power stuff. And he's throwing stuff at me and trying to have me like deflect them with just sound waves. And then he like pushes something across the ground at me, and I send this massive sound wave that like dents the floor. And it's the two of us fighting, and he's like, "You have to be subtle." Like, and I'm like, "Why? I stopped it, didn't I?" And getting very frustrated and very angry with him. And to the point where like the two of us are like yelling, and we see like very much the two of us, like we see the two of us really close to each other, yelling in each other's faces. And then the next time we see that panel, it's a duplicate of that panel in this really big gold outline. Like the letters are almost definable to show how loud the sound waves are. And then we cut back over and we see like the super, super minutia of the subway tunnel in tiny, tiny gold lettering as I'm focusing on the subtle. And then I launch the sound waves out across the floor and just take a bunch of them down.
Yeah, I think we see them like start to vibrate and then just fall apart. Not break or explode, just like fasteners like shaking free and them just falling into pieces. And then our next panel is Ryder.
You're going to see the next panel where Ryder gets up from, because they're kind of pinned down from behind this little barricade that they've set up. He's going to jump over the barricade and say something to the effect of, you see a speech bubble that says, "Hey, Light, try not taking the subway down on top of us." And he starts running forward and he grabs his sword off of his back and he's just basically chopping a path. His idea is he's going to try to chop a path through the robots in front of him to get to the machine.
Awesome. Give me a directly engage.
Okay. That is a 5. Oh my God.
We get several panels of you just slicing through these robots. There's tons of them, but they're not very strong. And then we get like you probably get about halfway through this, like cutting a path through, and then they all kind of collapse around you, jump on you.
Okay.
And we get a panel of like them piled on top of you, and you can hear the like ground under you start to groan a bit from the weight piled on you.
Oh, I think that as you see that, him cutting through that, and he's like in the middle of the group, and the next panel, you'd see Ryder look up and see all of them begin to like jump over each other to start piling on him, and he goes, "Oh no!" And then that would like be in like bold, "Oh no!" And then you'll see the next panel as they crowd on top of him, and just the single word says "fuck." And I guess because it's a comic, it would be bleeped out a little bit.
Yeah, I think Ryder's like canonically bleeped out every time he cusses.
So, and then you would see the bleeped out "fuck" as they land on top of him and pile on top of him.
So our next panel, we're going to show Brian, and we hear this. We get the onomatopoeia of like the ground underneath Ryder starting to crack. Brian, what do you do?
I'm going to shout, "Now's our chance. They have a flaw in their AI that'll make them cluster together." And I'm trying to use a move here.
Awesome.
Tactical genius. Let me just... when you point out the obvious flaw in a known foe's plan, roll plus savior. On a hit, you're right, and another teammate of your choice can take advantage. They get +1 ongoing to act on your information. And then more mechanics if you get a 7 to 9.
All right. Go ahead and roll plus savior.
And since Kai is visibly down right now, the teammate in question would have to be Lighthammer. Wow. That's a 13.
That's beautiful.
All right.
Okay, so Lighthammer gets a +1 ongoing to act on that information. And also, I'm right.
And more importantly, Lighthammer, what do you do?
Okay, so the true statement was that their AIs caused them to clump.
Right.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to jump over the pile of them. So when I knock them back, I'm going to be knocking them away from the machine to give a path to Brian. And as I'm jumping, I'm like, Brian, get the machine. I'll take care of this. And I want to essentially just send a blast to send as many of them away from Ryder as possible. Like get a bunch of them off so they will all end up clumping over together off of Ryder.
Cool. Which of these two goals is more important to you? Getting them off Ryder or clearing a path for Asimov? You can try and do both. I'm just curious which is more important.
I think Brian can clear, or Asimov can clear his own path. I'm gonna try to get them off Ryder.
Cool. Go ahead and roll to defend for me. But you can take a +1 forward with that.
That's a 9.
Do you have influence over Ryder?
I do have influence over Ryder. I had a -1, yeah, but I have influence over Ryder, so that's a 10.
Cool. On a hit, you keep them safe and choose one.
I'm gonna take influence over someone I protect.
Cool. Do you want to describe how the panels look?
Yeah, so I turn, jump over the group, spin, and then clap my hands together, and then send a blast of sound energy towards them, and just send them all careening off of Ryder, so he's now not covered by robots. And then I want to reach down, grab him by the hand, and pull him up and be like, hey, try not to take down the tunnel this time, babe. Kiss him on the cheek, and then turn to fight the robots with him.
What label shift are you doing? Because I think Ryder, you already have influence over Ryder, right?
Yeah. I think I'm shifting superior down and mundane up. Haha, you are lame and human and I had to save you.
I love it. I think Ryder, as he pulls up and you kiss him on the cheek, he'd be like, yeah. I know. And then he'll take a stance at your back with the sword in both hands in front of him.
And I think we see a shot from my perspective looking at all the robots, and all the fans are just exploding, being like, oh my god, you two are so cute. We love this. Oh, you're so good.
If that wasn't clear, I am accepting the label shift.
Cool. I thought so. I just wanted to be definite. And then our next panel, we see Asimov. Asimov, there is a pretty clear path to the machine. You can see it actively starting to press out more robots, but you have a pretty clear path to it.
I sprint like I've never sprint before.
I think we get a couple panels of you jumping over arms as they reach out for you, and then you sprint your way all the way there, and then you getting to the machine. What do you do when you get there?
I am going to give it a taste of fire sword.
I love it. I love the brains. Yeah, I can fix or understand anything. I'm gonna chop it.
After I hack away a bit at a keyboard.
Which way you going? I'm cool with whatever. I just love it.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna be like, doop 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 doop. This isn't working. Whoosh.
So you start by trying to hack it, and then you say fuck it and just hack it.
Yep.
Excellent. Give you a directly engage.
7.
On a 7 to 9, pick one.
I am going to. So, how is this thing going? Okay, I guess I do know how this thing's going to attack me. I am going to resist or avoid blows.
Okay. I think we get you tapping away on the keyboard, and I think we see a couple access denieds pop up, and then you just pull out the sword. Is it always on fire, or does it light on fire when you want it to now?
I think it's always on fire. It's just in a scabbard.
Perfect.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah. Actually, I guess the scabbard's for a dagger. A big scabbard. A biggard.
God damn it.
I'm sorry, what?
That was delightful. So we get the panels of Asimov whipping out this sword and just several panels just hacking at it. I think we see you chop a large chunk of machinery off. There's sparks flying everywhere. And then the half printed robot that was on its way out pulls itself forward and starts to grab at you, falls off as you jump back. And what do you do? At this point, all of the robots nearby have now turned their full attention on you. You have a quickly collapsing ring of robots coming at you.
I think it's time for a spin attack.
Yeah.
Give you another directly engage.
That didn't work so well. That's a 4.
You got this.
We
You
can
weren't holding-
spend enough
you-
team.
You,
Yeah,
you weren't,
I guess
you weren't
I
holding B for
accidentally
long enough.
held like Z and pressed A or something.
If both of you spin team and Brian spins team selfishly, you could bring that up.
No, let's play out. Let this play out. Let's go.
Yeah, who wants to spend all 5 team? Put it in a bank.
We get panels of like Brian with these robots approaching and then just start to spin with a sword. And you actually take out several. You get like 3 full swing like spins around before your sword lodges very deeply into the side of the machine. And then we get a panel showing like Brian pulling on the sword as it's stuck, the remaining robots moving in very quickly, and a red overload warning flashing on the screen behind Brian. And we're going to cut over to Lighthammer and Ryder. The two of you, I think, were side to side or back to back. There's a fair bit of robots between you, and you can see Brian a bit down the room. What do y'all do?
I'll hold these ones off. Go save Brian.
Got it. Let's go. And I think when he says, now we would be just doing a break type deal. I think we're going to kind of get a repeat panel for Ryder rushing towards the machine, slashing things as he runs towards the machine. And
I have something while you're running, if you want to act after I go.
yeah, do that. Let's go. That works.
So, based on my mental map of this place, the area that was all cracked underneath the weight of the robots is like between me and Brian, and there are a bunch of robots currently standing on it, correct?
There will be in a few because you threw them back and they're approaching you. So they will be soon. And they do
Sweet.
like to clump up.
I'm going to take the hammer and just bring it down on that area of ground and just try to send that area crashing down and taking as many of them as I can with me.
Give me an unleash.
I'm happy to do unleash. I was thinking that would be taking something from them and doing directly engage, but I can do either.
I think it's most directly reshaping your environment.
Great, that's a 3. I'm going to mark the fuck out of that potential.
It absolutely works. We get the panels of you swinging your hammer down the crack, just like this resounding crack, and then the cracks spreading out. The ground falls away underneath the robots, and then behind them we see Ryder running at super speed towards Brian, and the ground give away and him just fall down into the darkness below.
Sorry, honey.
I think Ryder would land on his feet. He's this is not the first time he's fell into a hole.
I'm gonna have you take a powerful blow to see how well you handle that landing. There's a lot going on.
All right, let's do that. Let's take the powerful blow. Go. That's a 5. That's good. That's good on this case. And I take a potential. Look at.
So I think we
I'd
get
like to
the
spend a team to pump that up.
Hey, no, none of that.
I like to spend a team selfishly to bump it up myself. So I think we get the shot of like just kind of the level that Lighthammer and Brian are, and the big hole in the middle. Do you want like a text bubble coming up out of there to show that you're okay?
Yeah. I think you like okay, so the shot of him falling, like he's running and the floor just breaks up underneath him with a loud cracoom. And you see like a very similar panel to during the blockade event, where he was looking up out of the hole. You see him land down on the bottom on his feet, and he looks up, and it's kind of in the same vein. So he lands on his feet. Now in the blockade shots, he was just kind of standing there and he's dusting himself off, like, wow, okay. But in this shot, it's kind of a very similar shot. But in this shot, he lands on his feet, his arms to his side, and you see him actually setting himself to launch back into the air. And as he flies out of the hole, you'd see actually an overhead shot of him of the camera looking down in the hole, and you see him like in a superhero flight pose. As he's coming out and going, why? And you see the speech bubble goes that says, "Why am I always falling into holes?" As he's flying out with the sword in his right hand.
Fantastic. And I think we get you landing on the far side of the hole near Brian. And in that panel, we can see the panel behind Brian blinking and beeping rapidly, and like 6 different sets of robot arms grabbing Brian.
Can I make a suggestion before we move too far from that moment?
Yeah.
I think we see two of the overhead shots from Ryder's perspective. The first one is that one, and the second one is basically the exact same, except underneath we see a train running by and just smashing the robots that were there.
Yes, I love that. Perfect.
I love it. I think the next shot would be Ryder attempting to he's going to leap over Brian and swing his blade in a way that's going to just basically slice the arms to free Brian from the grasp. I guess that would be directly engaging the threat.
Which arms?
All the ones that are not yours physically.
Give me a defend.
Okay.
Because I think the thing that's at risk here is Brian more than hurting these robots.
I dig that. That works better for me. Hello, that's a 14.
All right. On a hit, you do it. Pick one from the list.
I'm going to add a team to the pool.
Okay. We get the panel of like Ryder landing behind Brian and cleanly slicing through the arms. And I think we get like all the robots kind of stumbling back a few steps as sparks start to pour out. And I think at this point, Brian, you managed to unlodge your sword from the machine. It has been beeping more and more rapidly, though.
Beeping bad, let's go!
Oh, is now the time to run? This ain't sitting under any important buildings, is it?
You're actually in a fairly isolated part of town.
Okay, that beautiful. That was actually in character to Brian.
Go means go!
All right, so I think Ryder will actually kind of wrap his arm around Brian and start and when he wants to do his flash run around, and he wants to swoop in to grab Lighthammer, and then he wants to bolt down the tunnel away from the beeping robot.
I want to duck under his arm so he misses me.
Okay.
Okay. So we see, Ryan, you good with that happening?
Yep.
Cool. We see the panels of all that going down and Ryder like heading up towards the street level. Lighthammer, what are you doing?
We see a speech bubble, and I say, Lighthammers are heroes, right? And then I want to put my hands on one of the walls and then do the same like super subtle sound wave thing to try to like essentially just break this machine apart so it can't possibly explode. I want to like just disconnect every wire inside of it and like take every screw out and just collapse it.
Unleash your powers for me.
That's an 8. I'm gonna mark afraid. If I mess this up, I could die.
I dig that.
All right. I think we get I think this is about a half page of panels of it. Like we're seeing your sound waves. We're seeing it start to like vibrate and pieces loosen. But we're also seeing the like beeping getting louder and faster. And then the beeping stops. And I think there's a small puff of smoke. And then it just falls into disconnected components. The moment it falls apart, like every robot that's still around just loses power and just droops.
We get a massive sigh. And I think I just like collapse to my knees. And I'm like, well, I'm really glad that worked, because otherwise that would have sucked.
I want to say that the next panel would be all three of the heroes back above the street level. And
before you do that, I'm gonna add a couple panels between this.
Okay.
So from there, we get a pulled back panel kind of showing the whole scene, and we see this like column. We see a cement column, and we see this very odd looking vine that's wrapped up and around the column, and a flower on the vine twitches a bit and kind of sweeps looking across the landscape. We turn the page and we see this very, very peaceful but dark like clearing in a forest, and we see a large shadowy figure and a like much, much smaller shadowy figure, and in a like pool of water below in front of them we see the scene that we just like the scene in the subway, and the larger figure looks at the smaller one and goes, they might be ready this time. And then we got to our next panel. Ryder, did you want to establish that?
I did. I wanted the panel to be them be on the street, and Ryder looking at Lighthammer and being like, always gotta be the hero with the last word, eh? And I think he goes, love?
You know, if I learned anything from you, it's to take big risks, big rewards. So, I'm gunning for your spot, babe. Trying to take over as leader of this team.
Just Don't get yourself killed, love. God, we don't need another funeral. And he says that, and he has this like somber look on his face, and you actually get a panel under the helmet, and you see a somber look on his face as he says that with like a sigh.
I think I lean in and like my helmet is already off, and my hair, of course, as Lighthammer's hair does, is perfectly fallen across my face. And then I think I lean in and like take your helmet off, and like look you in the eyes, and I'm like, "You're not gonna have another funeral, okay? I'm here, you're here, Brian is here. We are all safe, and we're gonna keep being safe. We're good. We're gonna take care of each other." And I think that's probably a comforter support.
Yeah, I think so.
That is an 8.
That is an 8.
So,
Um,
on
an
a 7 to 9, if they open up.
Okay, can you repeat what you said? Kind of flow this a little better.
Yeah, basically it was like, we're not gonna die, we're all safe, we've got each other's backs.
I think Fee, now with his helmet off, is gonna look Light in the eyes and be like, "Yeah, we thought the same thing then too." And then I think he would I think at that point he would take his helmet underneath his arm and kind of turn to walk away a little bit. So it worked, but it's like it's comforting, but it's like also not, if that makes sense. That feels the most appropriate thing for him to say at that point.
I have a response, but you should probably pick whether you're marking potential, clearing condition, or shifting labels before I retort.
I will. I'll mark potential.
But that's the thing, Felix. You didn't have each other's backs last time. I know you love Faye, and I know that she's important to all of you, but she was there for herself. She was there for her own thing. And when someone is there and they're that selfish, it's not about keeping each other safe. So,
I think the panel, the panel where I think Ryder would stop walking, and the only thing you'd see in the panel would be, I think in this case would be, he would turn around and you would see a speech bubble that's just 3 dots, and then the next panel would be him kind of walking back towards Light and giving him a hug and saying, I can't lose you guys too.
And you're not going to, okay? So stop being such a worrywart. Acknowledge that I am, in fact, a better hero than you are. And we'll move on, okay?
Oh, shut.
Man, I can never hear myself think near you two. Oh, that's right. And I push a button on my mask. Beep.
I think Felix would start laughing. Like, damn it. All right. So, if you'd unmute your, and Ryder taps his head while looking at Brian, if you'd unmute your helmet, what's the next step?
Well, we've taken out the henchman. We got to go for the leader.
You got any idea of where he's at? It? He? What is Dijkstra? It's a robot, right?
It wasn't it. I'm not sure what it is now.
It's dead meat is what it is.
I think the panel where Light says that, you'd see Ryder punch his fists together, his hands together, and be like, "Yeah, let's take this thing down."
And Brian is like, it's I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not meat. That's the only thing I know it isn't.
Oh, Lord. What are you doing to me?
I think I turn, and like now we're all facing the same direction, and I like offer both my like elbows to the group so we can like link arms, and I'm like, "All right, gentlemen, let's go kill a robot."
Like that?
I mean, I kind of figured we'd like skip down the street, Wizard of
The
Oz
Yellow
style.
Brick Road?
Oh, wait, you've seen Wizard of Oz?
I mean, who hasn't?
I like the three of you just like weird bickering, walking off,
I love that,
linked
yeah.
arms. So
I think the weird bickering would have something being like, "Then who's the scarecrow in the group?"
I was just gonna say that!
Yes.
oh, delightful. So where's the Faces team been like meeting up most frequently recently?
Lighthammer's apartment, absolutely.
That's fine. That's as good as any place.
I mean, he's got good wine.
He does, and it's better than Leo's wine.
I don't know that he has good wine. We established in the last episode that he, when he is drinking alone, drinks like shitty canned peach wine. But I think he probably has good wine for company.
When his
I don't think I know what good wine is.
when his fridge is not mysteriously empty, even though he knows for a fact he just went to the grocery store.
Oh, I don't think Ryder would care.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets, T.B. Huth, and Elliot Peterson, and edited by Anthony Sheets and Sean Geddes. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at icynewyear.com. T is a theater artist and educator in the DC area. She can be found at T.Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Elliot can be found at Elliot Elen, ELLIOTYLEN on Twitter. Sean can be found at The Crumpit, THECRUMPIT on Twitter. Moon Harbor Heroes is played using Masks: A New Generation, written by Brendan Conway and produced by Magpie Games. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or on Patreon at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Black Vortex by Kevin MacLeod. This issue is GM'd by Anthony Sheets. Ryder Typhon is played by Kaido Kane. Kaido is a Twitch personality and loves their 3 mischievous cats. You can find them at The Versian on Twitter or as Kaido Kane on twitch.tv. Asimov is played by EXPHP. You probably won't find him at It's EXPHP on Twitter, but it's worth a try. Lighthammer is played by T. Huth. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice or tell a friend. 5-star reviews and word of mouth are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out at patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus issues each month. And thank you for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.